We all have our personal story about why we are going to struggle to find love, about why we have struggled to find love, about why it's never going to happen for us in the future. And one of my favorite things to do is to dissolve those stories so that we can finally go out there and get what we deserve in this area. This is a story that I wanted to show you that can give you hope and a new belief in your love life. As you watch this story with one of my favorite people in the world, I want you to think about the story you've been telling yourself about why you're not going to find love. And see if by the end of this story, you don't feel a little bit lighter with it.
There was this one person on this program that called me up a couple of months back because she had had some things happen in her life since that program. And when she made that call, I heard it and I went, you gotta come back. You gotta come back, and I need you to tell other people what you've done, because wow. And so she came back this time, and I'm going to bring her up here, and we're just going to spend 5 minutes just talking about what she has done since, because her story is a very, very interesting one and so relevant to all of us. So, Angie, where are you? Oh, there she is. Okay. Give it up for Angela, everybody. How you doing?
Now that's 10 years or 8 years now.
Wow, was it that long ago?
Yeah, and I haven't aged a bit.
You haven't. So you came on that program, and I remember maybe a good place to start is, I know there was a big event in your life. Yeah. Let's fill people in on that, because I feel like that gives us context for everything that we'll say after that.
So, as you can see, or you might not be able to see, I wear a prosthetic. And my story is quickly that I was 23 and I was making my way home from work, and life was great. I was with friends, I had a job I loved, and in a moment, everything changed. I sadly was hit by a drunk and drug driver, and when he hit me in a van at 70 miles per hour, I was injured for life. And the injuries that I have now happened at that moment. And the hardest thing was when my leg was taken from the impact of the vehicle. The driver stood over me and he walked away. And this is what led me to Matthew, because being in hospital and getting told you're injured, you're not going to walk again, you're not going to live independently again, we don't know if you're going to be able to eat yourself or dress yourself. I defied that. I made sure when I left the hospital that I would walk again. I walked in crutches, but that was good enough. But my self-worth was on the ground, and there was nothing around me, and there was nothing there that showed me how to put that together. So I went onto YouTube, and it was one of Matthew's earlier videos. I mean that in a nice way, of course. And he was in a park. What park was it in London?
It was in Berkeley Square.
Yeah, and
I remember the video. I was sat on nowadays we have Jameson and everything. I was sat on a bench just filming myself. And I do this, it wasn't on an iPhone, it was on like an old Sony cam. Yeah.
And it was about core confidence. And I read what confidence was. You know, you read in the magazines or your friends tell you be more confident. But I knew my confidence was on the ground more than most, because the thought that was left with me was like, how am I worthy if somebody could walk away and leave me? So I clicked on the video, I watched it, I wrote every word down, what confidence is, what the levels are. Like, I've done the same as you guys, and I still do the same thing. I watch the videos. I learned everything from it. And one of the biggest things that ladies have taught me is we share the same thing. We just get it, what you're saying, you know? So when I went on his website, you were doing an event down in London, and it was about confidence, wasn't it? And then I went to speak to Matthew, and again, he was bouncing from one side to the other. And it's like, this is amazing. And the ladies who I met there are the ladies who went to the retreat in Florida, and we're still friends to this day. And we're not friends because of what Matthew's connected us to, because the journey that we've experienced and we're still experiencing, and I'm still tapping into Matthew's work today because I still want to go to that next level and that next level.
So then so that kind of brings us to the retreat, because
Yeah.
I remember a very specific moment on the retreat that you reminded me of. This home in Florida, there was like a mini kind of movie room. And Angela pulled me to one side and said, hey, you know, let's have a chat. We went into the movie room, we sat down one-on-one, and and you can tell me if I'm paraphrasing correctly, but you had mentioned to me that when you were on a date, what the monologue that was constantly going through your mind is, he's not going to want me because I'm missing a limb.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
What happened next?
Before he got to that point, we sat in silence, and he said, I'm going to sit here until you tell me what it is. And I sat there, and then I crossed my arms in defiance. I was like, I'm not saying. And I couldn't say because I felt so sad about that. I couldn't say because it's a guy sitting in front of me. Like, can I say this? The one thing that's on my mind. And he just sat defiantly, and he's like, we're going to sit here all day. I was like, that, fine. Scottish stubbornness was coming out quite badly. And in my head, I was thinking, he has to see other ladies. So the more you sit there, you're stopping him going to talk to the other ladies and allow them to have their moment to talk about things. But I just sat, I just couldn't say it. And then he said, there's nothing I haven't heard before, just that you've said this week. And I said it. I think I blurted it out. And he just said, in what? Just those simple words, like, in what? And all the things that I'd been carrying with myself, like, it was like, oh, you've been carrying this. You built it up to this big picture. It was like, in what?
I remember saying to you, I remember looking at you and saying, how arrogant are you? You remember that?
Yeah. I burst out laughing, like, yeah. I never thought about it that way.
And I said, how arrogant are you? And she went like this. And then after like 30 seconds, just died laughing. Do you remember? Like, just in fits of laughter.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically Angela saying she started laughing and laughing and laughing. And I said, as she was laughing, I said, what, you need everyone to want you? Like, everyone you go on a date with has to fall in love with you and choose you? No one can reject you? Who are you? What, no one's allowed to say I don't want you? How arrogant is that? And she started just laughing and laughing and laughing. And she says, I know that is arrogant. And she started like, and it was this moment that I remembered that moment because of the phone call that you gave me. Because you then called me, this was what, you said 10 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
You called me a few months ago. And tell everyone what you told me. By the way, I also remember a moment where Angela we were in the kitchen. You remember? And you fell over in the kitchen. And I was, go on.
So it's took me a while. So just to give you a heads up here, and with all you guys, this is pretty much the first time that I'm wearing a skirt with my legs out.
Wow.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Please. The Scottishness, no. But it was my mum at the back. And some of you might know my special story with my mum. Like, she's always gave me the confidence to, like, get out there and share it. And here I am. So I'm digressing. So when I went to Florida, it was all about the long dresses, something cardigan to hide my arm. And I thought it was like a fashion statement I was going with. But looking back, I was actually covering up, covering the insecurities, covering everything I could possibly do. And that morning, we were down to kitchen, and I'm trying to catch up with everybody else. And I remember Steve's in the kitchen. I remember Mum's in the corner at the top of the table, making sure everybody's okay. And Matthew had came down, and I just went, whew. I fell, and my skirt went up. And I was like, oh no, hopefully my pants don't show. But I was more bored about my legs showing. I was more bored about that insecurity, that thing, like in Chris, you were talking about this week. See that thing that's holding you back, that thing that you don't want to talk about, that thing that's there. Like, see, as soon as you start talking about it, oh my God, your life will go like this. It's took me, like, come on, went to retreat 10 years. I took on his stuff. Then I kind of debated about, I'll take this little bit, but maybe not that little bit. And I'll take this little bit, maybe not that little bit. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. And as time was going on, I was like, yeah, this is taking a bit longer than everybody else. And then I thought, let's just do all of it. And all of it, again, my life opened up. And the story was the phone call that I shared with you.
So tell everyone what you told me, because this was one of the greatest phone calls I've had in these last 2 years.
Can I just share something about your mum before I go on?
Yeah.
So when I fell, I did make a kind of a scene. And the one person that came over to me was his mum. And she picked me up, and she could see that I spilled something on my dress. And I can't do an accent, so I won't. And she says, you go upstairs, get dressed, come back down, and I'll wash your dress. She washed my dress by hand, and she hung it up. And just by doing that little thing, like feeling embarrassed and feeling like so awkward, just by that beautiful action that she done, and it's not a big deal, touched me, and it still touched me to this day. Like, and as Matthew says, that's the way his mum is. Like, and the next day I wore the dress again because of his mum. So thank you. I'm digressing. Sorry. I think I take after you. So the thing was, leading up to this information I was going to share with Matthew was, how do I get the guy who goes all around the world? How do you reach out to the guy who's everywhere? So I thought, right, I'll send this email, but I don't know if you'll get it. I don't know if it'll even reach him, you know, like, and get the guy techniques, the techniques that he shares with you today. Now, if this is me, if that was there 10 years ago and this is here now, your life is going to be even more better than mine. Was I met a guy, and the second date, the first date was good. You went for a couple of hours, caught up. And the second date, as Matthew said, just put it on the table, just tell him what it is, like, get it over and done with. And I did. And I was so worried when I was going to tell this guy what my accident was and what scars I've got and what I wear, that he turned around and he said the same thing as Matthew. And what? And I knew then that this is the man for me. And within, was it because what Matthew said, that this man had said this? Probably. But also what Matthew had taught me about myself. When I was sharing this with him, I remember before meeting up with him, if he doesn't like me for who I am, then stuff it. Like, I'll just keep going. Like, my worth doesn't define what his is. So they get the guy stuff, that works. So, and if I'm standing here and you can see what I wear, my scars, the insecurities, any insecurities you've had, I've had it. Seen it, done it, got the picture. If I can get that, you can certainly get that. And then a few months later, we went to St Andrews, which is a beautiful place in Scotland. So we went on holiday, and he booked the honeymoon suite. And I was like, wow, like, nobody's ever done that for me. And I was like, this is amazing. He said, oh, it just so happened the hotel, that was the only room they had. I was like, wow, amazing. My mum knows. And then we go out for something to eat, and then he's really nervous. Like, at one point, he was shaking, and at one point, he literally said, do you want to try this? And when he said to try the food, it went and hit someone. It was like that bad, and I was thinking, I've still got it. It's like, no. And then he's like that, I need to take you to St Andrews. It's a beautiful place up there, beautiful scenery. And I was like, yeah, let's do that under the stars. Beautiful. And then he's like, close your eyes, I've got a surprise for you. And I was like, okay. And then I'm closing my eyes, and this is 5 minutes later, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get murdered. It's like, I'm thinking the worst. And then he's like, close your eyes. And I was like, okay. And then walking with heels on sand with a prosthetic leg is really difficult. So I'm going down to the sand, and I'm like trying to walk sexy but slipping. It was like, but he thought it was cute. Wasn't really. And then I just was like, wow, this is so beautiful, and look at everything you can see. And then, what are you doing down there? And he proposed, and 6 months later, we were married. Because of you. I've got 2 more things to share. I don't want to take your time up.
No, take my time up. Says you can run the day today.
I think my nerves are kind of disappeared now, because I'm super excited now that I'm sharing this with you girls. Because see, all week, I've wanted to tell you things. I've wanted to come and sit with you, but I've had to kind of stay a wee bit, closed? You know, like, in case I slipped up and I'd shared this, you know, because I'm a bit of a gab. So another thing that I shared with Matthew was my story, the thing that I couldn't speak about, the thing that caused me most torment, the most thing that I was scared about. Again, this thing about the thing that's holding you back is now for me. Now I've spoke about it, Matthew got it out me. I've now started my own charity, and I now help families and children who have been hurt by drunk and drug drivers. So, yeah. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't experienced the retreat. I wouldn't have experienced that if I hadn't had the beautiful elephant hair presentation. I wouldn't have had to been able to do that if his mum's love and affection, like the way that she is with people, like I am like that now when I go and visit families, you know, just with a touch, or I'm not washing clothes. But and my beautiful mum in the corner as well, like her kindness and compassion and beauty and always been there for me, you know. I feel very lucky. But it's took all this time to get here. So I need to give this to you because I need to show you something. So one of the saddest things, thank you. So one of the saddest things about being in the accident, and what she lists for you guys, is like getting told that this is not going to happen for you. Like, you're not going to have your life. You're not going to. It's like Matthew was talking about the moment when you look back at your life and you don't have the people around you, or you don't have the things that you want. And I was told, because of the severity of my injuries, that I'm never going to have a child. I imagine that, like, you've always wanted to have a family and have a child, and to have that taken away from you, and to think, like, how do you console yourself with that? Like, I don't think I could, and lucky I've got the love of my lovely husband now and things like that. But Matthew wanted me to come out and talk, when was it, Christmas time? And sadly, I had to go back into hospital for another operation. And my operation, it wasn't good, ladies. It was really hard, in fact. It was life-changing. Mummy, can you come and see this, Pauline? Pauline, Stephen, can you come and see this? I'm going to show you guys just in a minute, but I just want you to see this reaction, because their love and care for the retreat has brought, I'll let you share that with Mum and Dad. Yeah, like, I know, like, oh, so lovely. I know, so, I know, so yeah, so I've got a wee baby girl now. I'm so pleased for you. I know. I really hope nobody told you to spoil the surprise.
How did you not tell me that on the phone?
It was really hard. Like, it was really hard. I did have work. Well, I did say to him I had work on, and I did have work. But it was still that way, like, would it be safe to travel and things like that? And, but most importantly, like...
What's her name?
Hannah.
Hannah.
And she's so cute. It's like sometimes I look at her and I just think, wow, like, I carried you, like, amazing. And I think what I want to share with you, and I hope that you can all hear this, like, if you think, like, coming to the retreat or get the guy thing and you're thinking, it's not knitting, not getting it, I don't have my goals, I don't have this, or you might be thinking, this is what I want to do. It's funny how things just change, but they've changed because you've had this experience. And I'm not any different for you. My scars are different. My life experience is a bit different, but I'm just like you. I'm just like one of the girls. But I know, and I've came from Scotland, 2 flights away. I dragged my mum here. She's now burnt. Sorry, it's a lovely suntan. I've came this way because I want to tell you that this works. I was trying to think of a beautiful quote or something like that, but that's what I said to you on the phone. This works. There's no like sugarcoating it. There's no putting it a pretty bow, or if this is wanting your life to be better. And sometimes I started out thinking I wanted to go in this direction. It's took me to this direction. But I have fulfillment in my life in all areas. But I know that I'm going to have dips, and I've got tools now as well. Like, I feel boosted, and I've got even more tools for my self-esteem and my confidence. But I know what I've learned from you, I'm going to teach Hannah. And what amazing little girl she's going to turn into. Do you know what I mean? So I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you, Pauline, Mummy Pauline. Thank you, Steve, for your amazing elephant. Wherever he is, there he is. I'm with Mum there, and of course my mum. I love you. But the trailblazer, Matthew. Thank you. Love you, darling.
Ladies, please can we, because Angela did not need to come here this week and she has for us, can we give her a huge round of applause? Give it up for Angela, everybody!
I will always remember having coached Angela. She remains one of my dear friends today. By the way, I'm going to link up in the description where you can go and support Angela's cause if you want to, because she's doing amazing work right now alongside bringing up her beautiful family. If you want to go through the same process that transformed Angela's life, you have that opportunity in just 3 weeks. This, I think, is pretty much the final call for the live retreat in 2023. It's happening from the 9th of October until the 15th. It is the same 6-day process, albeit improved over many years, that Angela went through that changed her life and enabled her to find love. And you can now experience it for yourself. Go to mhretreat.com to get your space now. We're down to the last handful, so this is it. Don't lose any more time. Come join us, and I'll see you in Florida in just a few weeks.